You think this is a game? I said keep your hands where I can see them. Now step back to the car.
You seem a little nervous there. Anything I should know about?
Not long before the officer stepped out, boots scraped pavement. A flashlight snapped on. "Hey, you, stop right there." Jalen froze, his breath fogged in the cold air. The officer, a tall, broad white man with a jaw clenched like he was chewing anger, closed the distance in hard steps. "What are you doing in this neighborhood at this hour?" "Going home," Jalen said quietly. The flashlight beam hit his face with blinding intensity. "Don't lie to me. You don't live around here." Jalen swallowed. I do. 2 blocks down." The officer smirked. "Sure you do." Jalen felt heat rise behind his eyes, that familiar blend of fear and humiliation. Cars passed. No one slowed down. No one looked. The street felt like a stage built only for this moment. The officer circled him slowly, gaze sharp, predatory. "You don't belong here, kid." The word sliced. Jalen's pulse thudded. "Let me see your ID," the officer demanded. Jalen reached into his bag, slowly, carefully, but the officer's hand flew to his holster. "Move 1 inch faster," he hissed, "and you'll regret it." Jalen's breath caught. A ringtone cut the air. The officer glanced at his phone, and his face drained of color. "Chief," he muttered. Jalen stood trembling, unaware that this single phone call would unravel everything. The bus hissed as it pulled away, leaving Jalen in a thin beam of streetlight that flickered like a trembling pulse. He adjusted his backpack, exhaled slowly, and started walking. His laptop, textbooks, and the half-finished paper inside suddenly felt heavier than they should. It was late, yes, but he'd walked this path 100 times. Tonight, though, something felt wrong. A police cruiser idled across the street, engine humming like a warning growl. Jalen tried not to look, but the door opened anyway. Heavy footsteps hit the pavement. "Hey, you, stop right there." Jalen froze. "Me." The officer walked closer, tall, square-shouldered, face set in a hard scowl. "Don't play dumb. What are you doing out here?" "Heading home," Jalen said. He kept his voice steady, remembering his mother's advice. Stay calm, stay alive. The officer shone a flashlight directly into his eyes. "You live around here?" "Yes, 2 blocks down." A smirk. "Sure you do." Jalen swallowed. I can show my ID." "Yeah, you do that." The officer stepped closer, hand resting on his holster. Slowly. "Okay." Jalen moved carefully, but his hand still trembled. "Why are you shaking?" the officer mocked. "It's cold." "It's not that cold." Jalen looked down, silence forming a shield around him. The officer circled him. "You been sneaking around houses, breaking into cars?" "No, sir." "You look nervous, guilty nervous." "I'm just trying to get home." "Uh-huh." A second cruiser rolled up. Another officer stepped out but stayed near the door, watching quietly. "Open your bag," Riker demanded. I don't consent to." Riker stepped forward. "I wasn't asking." He yanked the zipper open, rummaging through books and papers. "College boy, huh?" "Yes." "You think that makes you better than me?" "No, sir." Riker scoffed, throwing a notebook to the ground. "You don't belong out here." Jalen's chest tightened. He forced his breath into calm, careful intervals. Then Riker's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and stiffened. "Yes, Chief." A pause, a long one. Riker's face drained. "Why, yes, sir. Understood." He turned to Jalen, voice clipped. "Get your things. Go home." Jalen bent to pick up his notebook, heart pounding. As he walked away, he felt Riker's eyes burning into him, cold, calculating, unfinished. Something told him the night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The morning after the incident, Jalen walked across campus with a kind of exhaustion that clung to his bones. Students hurried around him, laughing, talking, living normally. He tried to blend in, but every sound felt distant, muffled, like he was underwater. His backpack strap dug into his shoulder where Riker had grabbed it the night before. He kept rehearsing how he'd explain the bruise if anyone asked. He hoped no one would. Inside the student center, the warm buzz of activity filled the air. Espresso machines hissing, chairs scraping, small clusters of students discussing assignments. Jalen moved quietly toward a table near the window and took out his laptop, trying to force himself into academic mode. But he could still hear Riker's words. "You don't belong out here." "Hey, Jalen." He looked up. It was Mia from his sociology class, her expression concerned. "Are you okay?" Someone in my building said they saw you getting stopped by a cop last night. They said it looked intense." Jalen's stomach turned. "It's fine. I'm fine." "You don't look fine." He managed a tight smile. "Rough night." She hesitated. "People are talking." Students who live near Briar Avenue said the cop was really aggressive. Jalen closed his laptop. "I don't want to get into it." She nodded softly. "If you change your mind, I'm around." When she walked away, he exhaled shakily. He wasn't ready to relive the moment. Not yet. He headed to class, taking the back road to avoid attention. Professor Kamal, usually energetic and quick-witted, paused mid-lecture when he noticed Jalen's expression. After class, he approached him. "Jalen," Kamal said gently, "you seem distracted today." "Just tired," Jalen replied. "Tired or troubled?" Jalen hesitated. "Both, I guess." Kamal lowered his voice. "If something happened, there are resources, counseling services, campus advocates. You don't have to handle everything alone." Jalen appreciated the kindness, but the idea of explaining everything made his chest tighten. "I'll think about it." "Good," Kamal said. "Please take care of yourself." Jalen left the classroom feeling the weight of every step. He walked past the campus security building, intending only to cut across the courtyard. But through the window, he caught a glimpse that froze in mid-stride. Officer Riker was inside. Jalen ducked behind a pillar, heart racing. He heard snippets of conversation through the cracked window. "Need access to your surveillance feeds," Riker was saying. A security guard replied, confused. "For what?" "We haven't received any incident reports involving a student." "I'm telling you," Riker insisted, "the kid's been acting suspicious. I need to check footage from the past week, especially around the East Gate." "Officer," the guard said slowly, "we're not authorized to hand footage over without a formal request." "You'll get the request," Riker snapped. "Just be ready." A beat of silence. "And don't mention this to anyone," Riker added. "Especially not the student." Jalen's breath hitched. His looking for me. He backed away from the window, pulse hammering. The courtyard suddenly felt too open, too exposed. He hurried across campus, avoiding eye contact with everyone he passed. Near the library entrance, he overheard two students whispering. "Did you hear about that cop who keeps stopping black guys on Briar? Someone said it's been written up before." "Yeah, my roommate said he saw him pacing around last night like he was hunting someone." Jalen's skin prickled. He entered the library, choosing a quiet corner. He opened his laptop again, but the cursor blinked accusingly, like it knew he wasn't going to focus. His leg bounced uncontrollably beneath the table. Mia texted, "You sure you're okay?" He didn't answer. A notification popped up, campus news alerts. He ignored it. Another message arrived, this time from an unknown number. "So what happened last night? Be careful. That cop has a history." Jalen stayed at the screen. How did people get his number? His chest tightened. He packed up his things and stepped outside. The sky was gray now, clouds gathering like a warning. The air was heavy, the kind that makes you expect something to break. As he walked toward his dorm, he noticed a patrol car slowly turning onto campus. His breath hitched. For a moment, panic surged. Is it him? But the car drove past without stopping. Still, the fear stayed. At the dorm entrance, his resident advisor spotted him. "Jalen, you all right?" "I heard some stuff." "I'm fine," Jalen said quickly. "Really?" but the RA didn't look convinced. If anything feels unsafe, come talk to me. Jalen nodded and headed inside. Upstairs in his room, he finally let his shoulders collapse. He sat on his bed, breathing in short, shallow pulls. Riker wasn't just angry. He wasn't just suspicious. He was obsessed. And Jalen felt the walls closing in, one silent room at a time. The winter sun hung low over the campus quad, casting long shadows across the pavement as students drifted in and out of the busy coffee shop. Jalen stepped outside with a warm drink in hand, hoping the walk back to class would calm his nerves. He had barely taken 3 steps before he heard the unmistakable sound of a police cruiser rolling to a stop. His heart lurched. Officer Riker stepped out, sunglasses on, jaw clenched. "Hey, you, over here." Jalen froze, heat rising in his chest. "I'm on my way to class." Riker smirked. "Funny, I wasn't asking where you were going. I'm asking why you're here." "I go to school here," Jalen said carefully, "like thousands of other students." Riker took a slow step forward. "Don't get smart with me. You think you can wander wherever you want and nobody notices." A few students sitting on outdoor benches glanced over. Whispering began. One pulled out a phone. Jalen felt sweat bead at the base of his neck. "I'm not doing anything wrong." "Right," Riker said, circling him like a wolf pacing its prey. "A student like you just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, twice." Jalen tightened his grip on his drink. "You're harassing me." Riker laughed. "Harassing? Kid, you're lucky I'm giving you a chance to explain yourself." "I don't have to explain anything." Riker stopped walking, squaring up in front of him. "Then maybe you'd like to spend a few hours at the station to refresh your memory." Jalen's pulse hammered painfully. "For what?" "You tell me," Riker challenged. "You've been acting suspicious, hanging around buildings you don't belong in, taking long routes home, sneaking into neighborhoods." "That's not true," Jalen said. "None of that is true." Riker leaned closer, voice low and venomous. "You think being polite changes anything? I see right through you." "So," Jalen said steadily, "I know my rights." Riker's lips curled. "You think I care about what you think you know?" The nearby students shifted, sensing danger. Phones lifted. Cameras pointed. "Do you consent to a search?" Riker asked, loudly enough for the onlookers to hear. "No." Riker's hand snapped toward his belt. "Resisting? Hell." "I'm not resisting," Jalen said, stepping back. "I'm denying an unlawful request." "Oh, big words," Riker sneered. "Is that what they teach you in your fancy classes?" Someone from the crowd shouted, "Leave him alone." Another yelled, "We're recording." Riker's eyes flicked toward the growing group, irritation rippling across his face. "Look what you've started," he hissed at Jalen. A second police cruiser pulled up abruptly. Officer Daniel stepped out quickly, expression tense. "Riker," he said, voice low, "what are you doing?" "My job," Riker snapped. "This kid's hiding something." Daniels glanced at Jalen, then at the surrounding students filming. His discomfort was obvious. "This isn't the place." "You don't tell me how to do my job," Riker barked. Daniels sighed and stepped closer to Riker, speaking quietly but urgently. "You need to back down. There are too many cameras." Riker glared at him but didn't move. The crowd murmured, anticipation thick in the air. Jalen's breath trembled. He felt cornered, a single wrong word away from disaster. Finally, Daniels raised his hands. "Everyone, please disperse. The situation is under control." But no one moved. Riker jabbed a finger at Jalen. "This isn't over." Jalen stepped back again, voice steady despite the quiver beneath it. "I'm going to class. I've done nothing wrong." "Walk away, Ward," Daniel said quietly. "Now." Jalen didn't need to be told twice. He slipped past them, heart pounding, the weight of dozens of eyes following him. The crowd parted to let him through. Phones continued recording even as he walked down the walkway and turned the corner. Only when he reached the far end of the quad did he allow himself to breathe. Inside the coffee shop, someone muttered, "He handled that way better than I would have." Another whispered, "That cop's crazy. Someone needs to report him." Outside, Riker stood rigid, fists clenched. "He thinks he can embarrass me," he seethed. "He thinks he can turn people against me." Daniel shook his head. "He didn't do anything. You're making this worse." Riker stepped closer, face twisted with fury. "I'm going to teach that kid a lesson, and you're either with me or you're in my way." Daniels exhaled, knowing the line between them had finally been drawn. "I'm not ruining my career because you're obsessed with a student who just wants to go to class." Riker's nostrils flared as he turned away, muttering to himself. Students continued posting clips online. The videos spread quickly, first among classmates, then across the city. Jalen didn't see the footage yet. He was too busy trying not to fall apart. By nightfall, Jalen's phone buzzed so constantly he finally flipped it face down on his desk. At first, he thought it was just group chats or class reminders. But when he checked the screen, he saw notification after notification, tags, reposts, messages, and mentions piling up like an avalanche he couldn't outrun. A sinking feeling washed over him. He tapped one link. A video played, shot from outside the coffee shop. Riker standing inches from him. The threats, the crowd, Daniel stepping in. Jalen's quiet, steady voice repeating, "I've done nothing wrong." He winced watching himself shrink beneath Riker's glare. The top comment read, "This officer needs to be investigated immediately." Another, "Man kept his cool. Respect." Then a darker one, "Bet he did something off camera. Cops don't act like that for no reason." Jalen's stomach clenched. He closed the app, but another notification popped up instantly. Someone had posted a blurry photo of him leaving the scene, captioned, "Who is this student?" He whispered, "No, no, no." A knock tapped on his door. It was Malik. "Bro, you're trending." Jalen pressed a palm to his forehead. "I noticed." Malik stepped inside, lowering his voice. "People are on your side. A lot of people. They are posting about how messed up Riker is." "I don't want any of this," Jalen muttered. "You didn't choose it. He chose you." Jalen sank onto his bed. "Why does he keep coming after me? I'm not doing anything." Malik hesitated. "It's not about you. It's about him. Guys like that don't need reasons." Jalen's phone buzzed again. This time, a DM. He clicked it out of habit. "Stay strong. Man, we saw what he did." Another, "If you need support, campus activists are organizing." Another, "You better watch yourself. People are looking into who you are." He swallowed hard. This is getting out of control. Malik frowned. "Has your dad seen any of this?" Jalen's shoulders tensed. "He doesn't check socials." "Still, maybe tell him." Jalen shook his head. "No, absolutely not." Malik didn't push it. Down the hall, laughter echoed, normal, careless college noise, but Jalen felt miles away from it. The walls seemed to close in as he realized strangers were dissecting his life, forming opinions about him from a 30-second clip. He reached for his laptop. He typed his own name into the search bar. Dozens of posts appeared. Students calling for accountability. Local activists referencing past complaints about Riker. A thread speculating about why Riker targeted a harmless student. Then something was. Someone had found his major. His class year. The corner of the dorm building visible in one of the videos. "Great," he whispered. "Just great." Malik pointed at the screen. "Look at this one." A tweet with thousands of likes read, "A young black student standing up to a cop's harassment with calm dignity. This is courage." Jalen swallowed hard. "I don't want to be a symbol. I just want to be safe." Malik placed a hand on his shoulder. "You deserve to be." Across town, Officer Riker sat in his dim apartment, staring at the same videos. His face twisted each time someone called him unprofessional, unhinged, dangerous. "What do they know?" He snarled at the screen. "They weren't there. They don't see what I see." He replayed the clip of Jalen calmly refusing the search. He hated how composed the kid looked. How rational. How in control. "That's what they love," Riker muttered. "Him pretending he's innocent." He swiped to a profile that posted the video. Thousands of likes. Thousands of comments demanding action. They are trying to ruin me, he said. Because of him. His phone chimed with a departmental update. Effective immediately, all officers are reminded to follow protocol during student interactions due to circulating media. Riker slammed his fist onto the table. Protocol? I did everything right. But his reflection in the dark window looked less certain. He looked like a man being cornered. He poured himself a drink, downed it in one swallow, and opened a private message thread. Who is this kid? He typed to a colleague. Need more info. ASAP. Back on campus, Jalen tried shutting off his phone again, but his mind wouldn't stop racing. A final notification appeared from an unknown email address. I'm a reporter with Channel 7. I'd like to hear your side of the incident. Jalen closed the laptop with shaky hands. Why is this happening to me? Malik sat beside him. Because that officer crossed a line. Twice. And the world saw it. Jalen whispered, almost to himself, but it's not done with me. I can feel it. And he was right. The sky was a dull, bruised gray when Jalen left campus late that afternoon, clutching his backpack straps a little tighter than usual. He had stayed in the library longer than he intended, hoping the quiet would settle his nerves. But the silence only amplified the same fear looping in his mind. Every shadow felt too long. Every sound felt like footsteps behind him. He walked toward the bus stop, his shoulders tense, jaw clenched, when a familiar police cruiser rolled up beside the curb. His stomach plummeted. The window lowered. Riker, pull over. The officer barked through the open window. I'm walking, Jalen said, voice tight. Then stop walking. Jalen froze. Cars slowed as drivers noticed the scene unfolding. A couple on the sidewalk paused, watching with quiet unease. Riker stepped out, closing the cruiser door with an ominous thud. You know why I'm here. No, Jalen said. I really don't. Riker approached until they were only a foot apart. You think you embarrassed me. Jalen blinked. I didn't post anything. I didn't say anything. But you let them film, Riker hissed. You let them spread lies. I didn't control that, Jalen said, trying to keep steady. Riker's eyes narrowed. You walk around like you're innocent, like you're special. I'm not special, Jalen said. I just want to live my life. Cut the act, Riker snapped. Who are you really? Jalen swallowed. A student. Lying, Riker said instantly. You live in a gated community. A kid like you doesn't end up there without connections. Jalen felt his pulse spike. That's none of your business. It's very much my business. Riker stepped closer, invading his space. Turn around. For what? Traffic violation. Jalen stared at him. I'm walking. You cross improperly back there. I used the crosswalk. Riker's lips curled. Are you resisting? Jalen's breath trembled. No, I don't understand why you're doing this. Oh, you understand, Riker said. You just don't want to admit it. A bystander lifted their phone. Another joined. A small group began forming. The air thickened with tension. Riker raised his voice. Put your hands on the hood of the car. Jalen felt heat rising behind his eyes. I haven't done anything. You will do as I say, Riker barked, while evading to the charges. Charges for what? For wasting my time. That's not a crime, Jalen said, voice cracking despite his effort to sound calm. Riker grabbed his arm. Hard. I'm done playing nice. Don't touch me, Jalen gasped. Please. A woman nearby shouted. He didn't do anything. Riker ignored her. Hands on the car. Jalen shook his head, something inside him breaking loose. No, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. I can't keep doing this. I'm tired of being treated like I'm dangerous just for existing. Riker's grip tightened. So you admit it. You've got something to hide. No. Jalen snapped, louder than he intended. His voice cracked with exhaustion, fear, and an anger he'd held back for too long. I'm tired of you following me. I'm tired of you threatening me. I'm tired of pretending this is normal. Gasps murmured through the small crowd. Riker's expression twisted into something dark. That's it, he growled. You're under arrest. What? Jalen's voice shattered. You can't. Riker spun him around and slapped handcuffs onto his wrists. The cold metal bit into his skin. No, please. Jalen tried to pull back, but Riker shoved him against the cruiser. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting. The crowd erupted. People filmed. People protested. Riker didn't care. He pushed Jalen into the back of the car, slamming the door so hard the frame shook. Inside the cruiser, Jalen's breath came in broken, uneven bursts. The cuffs dug into his wrists, and tears blurred his vision. He'd done everything right. Everything his parents taught him. And still, this was happening. Up ahead, another cruiser screeched to a halt. Officer Daniels jumped out, eyes wide with horror as he saw Jalen in the back seat. Riker. Daniels ran toward him. What are you doing? Arresting him, Riker said. Finally. For what? Daniels demanded. He knows what he did. Daniels shook his head. No more of this. You cross the line. Riker glared. Get out of my way. Daniels didn't move. Inside the station minutes later, a senior official stormed through the hallway after reviewing the arrest footage. Officers scattered aside as he marched toward the holding area, face thunderous. Behind steel bars, Jalen sat trembling, unaware that everything was about to change. And Riker, standing rigid, stubborn, unrepentant, had no idea his world was about to collapse. The fluorescent lights in the station hallway buzzed faintly, matching the frantic pulse pounding in Jalen's ears. He sat on the cold metal bench inside the holding cell, cuffs removed but wrists still aching. Every inhale felt thin, shaky. He kept his eyes on the floor, afraid that looking up would make everything real again. Officers moved back and forth outside, whispering urgently. Something was happening, something big. Then the heavy door at the end of the hallway swung open. Deputy Chief Morales stepped inside, her stride sharp and furious. Every officer she passed straightened instinctively. Her eyes were laser-focused, her jaw locked tight. She stopped in front of Riker like a storm hitting a wall. You arrested a student for walking home. Riker stiffened. He resisted questioning. False, Morales snapped. He posed no threat. There's video from 3 angles. Riker swallowed. He has been acting suspicious for days. Suspicious? Morales repeated slowly, dangerously. Your report says he looked nervous. That is not suspicion. That is humanity. Daniels lingered near the wall, hands clasped behind his back, eyes lowered. Morales nodded at him. You were at the arrest. Yes, Daniels said softly. He didn't resist. Riker escalated it. Riker spun toward him. You're lying. Daniels' voice remained steady. No, sir. I'm telling the truth. Morales turned back to Riker. You targeted this young man repeatedly. You tailed him, harassed him, searched him without cause, detained him without justification, and then you arrested him. Riker clenched his jaw. With respect, the kid isn't who he seems. He lives in Oak Ridge. And Morales cut in. Students live with relatives. Students have scholarships. Students rent rooms. Housing is not a crime. You don't understand, Riker insisted. There's something off about him. A connection. Money. Influence. Morales exhaled hard through her nose. Yes, influence. That's the part you should have been prepared for. Riker blinked. What? Morales straightened, shoulders squared. The young man you unlawfully arrested tonight is Jalen Ward. Jalen finally lifted his head. Morales continued, each word dropping like a gavel. Son of Mayor Thaddeus Ward. Riker went still, utterly still. His mouth opened, then shut again. No, that's not. He didn't say. He doesn't advertise it, Morales said, because he wanted a normal life, a safe life, One he clearly cannot have when officers like you believe blackness is probable cause. Riker's face drained the color. I swear, I didn't know. If I had known. Morales' voice sliced through him. So you admit you would have treated him differently if you knew who his father was. Riker's breath caught. No, I mean, yes, I mean. You mean you would have shown respect only to power, not to a person, Morales said coldly. Silence swallowed the hallway. She turned to Daniels. Release him. Daniels nodded and stepped inside the cell. Jalen, he said softly, you're free to go. Jalen stood slowly, legs trembling. Am I safe to leave? Daniels' eyes softened. Yes. Jalen walked out to the cell, each step a fragile attempt to reclaim himself. Morales faced him with an expression that held both sorrow and respect. Mr. Ward, she said, I deeply apologize for what happened. This department failed you. Jalen swallowed. I just want to go home. You will, Morales said. But first, you should know we are opening an immediate investigation. Behind her, Riker flinched. Morales ignored him. Officer Daniels has already provided a statement. So have several witnesses. Tonight's footage leaves no room for interpretation. Jalen clenched his fists. He followed me. He kept showing up. I tried to avoid him. Morales nodded. And you did nothing wrong. Riker suddenly stepped forward. Kid, listen, I didn't know who you were. I thought. Jalen cut him off quietly. You didn't think. You assumed. Riker opened his mouth, but no words came. Morales stepped between them. Officer Riker, you are relieved of duty pending internal review. Turn in your badge and weapon. Riker staggered back as if struck. Please, this is a misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding, Morales said. There is only misconduct. Riker's breath grew ragged. His career, his authority, everything he clung to, was slipping through his fingers. Daniels escorted Jalen down the hallway, away from Riker's imploding world. The doors ahead opened to the cool night air, where a small group waited. Students, activists, neighbors, faces filled with alarm and relief. Phones lit up as Jalen stepped out. Someone whispered, "That's him." Another said, "He's okay. Thank God." Jalen felt dizzy. He wasn't okay. Not even close. But at least he was free. He took one trembling breath and walked toward the waiting crowd, unsure what tomorrow would bring, but certain nothing would ever be the same again. Demanding justice, demanding to know how a student could be arrested without cause in broad daylight. Inside, Jalen stood in a quiet conference room with his father. Mayor Thaddeus Ward looked exhausted. His tie loosened, his eyes shadowed with equal parts anger and parental fear. He had rushed from an emergency council meeting the moment he received the call from Deputy Chief Morales. "Jalen," he said softly, "why didn't you tell me sooner?" Jalen kept his gaze on the polished table. "Because I didn't want you fixing things for me. I wanted to be treated like anyone else." His father exhaled. "And look what happened. You were treated like anyone else, Black." Jalen's throat tightened. "Yeah." Mayor Ward sat beside him, not across from him. Closer. "I'm proud of you. For staying calm. For staying alive. But I'm also hurt that you carried this alone." "I didn't want to be the mayor's son on campus," Jalen whispered. "I just wanted to be Jalen." "You still are," his father said. "But you were targeted because he didn't see Jalen. He saw something he invented." A knock interrupted them. Deputy Chief Morales stepped in. "Mayor Ward, the press conference is ready when you are." Jalen tensed. "Do you have to do this today?" Morales answered gently. "The city is already reacting. Silence would make things worse, both for you and for others who've been through similar situations." Jalen nodded reluctantly. Mayor Ward placed a hand on his shoulder. "Stay behind the podium with me. You don't have to speak." "I don't want to," Jalen admitted. "Not yet." "That's fine." They walked to the press chamber. As soon as the doors opened, camera flashes exploded like fireworks. Jalen blinked against the assault of light. His father approached the podium, cleared his throat, and the room fell into a charged silence. Good evening. Mayor Ward began, voice steady but burning with emotion. Today, we address an incident that reflects a deeper issue in our city, one that transcends a single officer, a single arrest, or a single family. Reporters exchanged glances, leaning forward. My son, Jalen Ward, was unlawfully detained and repeatedly harassed by an officer entrusted with protecting this community. What happened to him happens to far too many young black men. The difference is that Jalen's story reached your screens. Others don't. Murmurs rippled through the room. Jalen looked down, gripping the sides of his chair. I am not here to target one officer, the mayor continued. I am here to condemn a pattern. Profiling, escalation, abuse of authority. The department is working with my office to launch a full investigation and implement mandatory oversight reforms. A reporter raised a hand. Mayor, does Jalen want to make a public statement? Jalen's father looked at him gently, offering a choice. Jalen shook his head. Not at this time, the mayor answered. He is processing trauma, and I ask that everyone respect his privacy. Another reporter asked, will Officer Riker face consequences? That determination will follow the investigation, the mayor replied, but his actions were unacceptable. When the conference ended, cheers, shouts, and chants erupted outside. Students from the university gathered with signs reading Justice for Jalen, Protect Black Students, and Stop Racial Profiling. Jalen felt overwhelmed as he stepped into the hallway. The moment he saw the crowd, he froze. Malik pushed through to him. Bro, you okay? Jalen managed a faint smile. Trying. You don't have to say anything, Malik said. Just know, we've got your back. Behind them, Deputy Chief Morales briefed Daniels and several internal affairs officers. Daniels looked worn out, but relieved. When he caught Jalen's eye, he offered a quiet nod. Later, in a private office upstairs, the internal review began. Riker sat across from a panel of superior officers, shoulders hunched, eyes cold. Daniels gave a detailed statement, clear, direct, honest. His voice didn't waver. I knew it was wrong, he admitted. I should have reported it earlier. I'm sorry. His regret was real. Jalen believed that. Riker, however, was a different story. When questioned, he leaned back with crossed arms. The kid acted suspicious. I followed protocol. This is blown out of proportion because of who his father is. Morales' voice hardened. He was targeted because of who he is, not because of who his father is. Riker's jaw tightened. I was doing my job. No, Morales said. You were abusing it. Back outside, Jalen stood in the evening air with his father. The crowd chanted his name, but he didn't feel like a hero. He felt bruised, exposed, seen in a way he never wanted. Dad, he whispered, what happens now? His father wrapped an arm around his shoulder. Now, he said, we fight for change. Together. And for the first time in days, Jalen felt a fragile sliver of strength returning. Riker sat alone in the dim disciplinary hearing room, the walls closing in tighter with each passing minute. His badge and service weapon sat locked in a clear evidence box on the far table, a silent reminder of everything slipping away from him. He tapped his foot anxiously, jaw grinding as he stared at the floor. He could hear muffled voices through the door. Internal affairs, attorneys, Deputy Chief Morales, Daniels. Each voice was another nail in the coffin he refused to acknowledge. They're overreacting, he muttered to himself. It was just a kid, just a stop. But the words didn't comfort him like they used to. Not anymore. The door opened. Morales stepped in with two IA investigators. Officer Riker, she said flatly, we completed preliminary review. The evidence against you is overwhelming. Evidence? Riker scoffed. Those videos don't show everything. They show enough, Morales replied. They show excessive force, harassment, targeted pursuit, and an arrest with no legal basis. Riker's hands curled into fists. I was doing my job. No, Morales said, you were abusing your authority. Before he could argue, Daniels entered behind them, face drawn with tension. Riker glared at him. Oh, look, Riker spat. The traitor. Daniels didn't rise to the insult. I told the truth. The truth. Riker barked. You threw me under the bus because you're weak. Daniels remained steady. I stayed silent for too long. That was my mistake. But I won't lie for you. Riker's eyes burned with betrayal. We were supposed to have each other's backs. Daniels shook his head. Not when you cross every line. Morales cut in sharply. Enough. Officer Riker, you are officially suspended pending termination. You will not return to duty. Riker stood abruptly, rage boiling over. You can't do this to me. I've served this department for years. And in that time, Morales replied, you have accumulated more complaints than any active officer. That's because people twist things. That's because you targeted people who didn't look like you, she corrected. Riker's breathing grew ragged. This isn't fair. The investigation will proceed, Morales said calmly, but your days of patrolling the city are over. He stared at her, fury and fear warring in his expression, but he said nothing else. There was nothing left to say. Across town, Jalen sat in the quiet of a campus garden, the faint scent of pine drifting on the breeze. For the first time in days, the air didn't feel heavy. His phone had slowed down too, less chaos, fewer new messages, though news stories still populated his feed. Malik arrived with 2 coffees. Thought you could use this. Jalen took one gratefully. Thanks. You see the news? Malik asked. No, I've been trying not to. Riker suspended. Likely done for good. Jalen's stomach twisted. Relief, sadness, anger. None of the feelings fit neatly. I thought I'd feel better, he admitted. It's complicated, Malik said softly. You didn't want revenge. You just wanted him to stop. Jalen nodded. And now he has to deal with the consequences. But I can't help feeling guilty. Guilty? Malik frowned. He did this to himself. Jalen stared at the ground. He didn't see me as a person. That's a problem, Malik said. Not you. After a long pause, Jalen whispered, I'm tired. I know, Malik replied. And you're allowed to be. Later that afternoon, Daniels approached Jalen outside the student center. He looked nervous, hands tucked into his pockets. Jalen, he called gently. Jalen stiffened. Officer Daniels. I'm off duty. Just, Daniels is fine. Jalen nodded cautiously. Daniels exhaled. I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. I should have stopped him sooner. I saw the signs. I knew the way he talked about you wasn't right. Jalen studied him. Daniels' remorse seemed sincere. Why didn't you say anything sooner? Daniels lowered his eyes. Fear, loyalty, habit. It's no excuse, just the truth. Jalen nodded slowly. I appreciate you telling the truth now. Daniels looked relieved. If you ever need a statement or support for anything going forward, I'm here. Thank you, Jalen said quietly. Daniels gave a small nod and walked away. That evening, Jalen sat with his father in their living room. The news broadcast played softly, painless debating police reform, community activists discussing racial profiling, legal experts explaining the implications of Riker's suspension. People are asking if you're going to sue, Mayor Ward said gently. Jalen shook his head. I don't want a legal battle. I want change. If we can use this moment to push policy, that's enough. His father smiled, pride warming his features. You're stronger than you know. Jalen didn't feel strong, but he felt resolute. The story wasn't over, but the power was shifting. And this time, it wasn't shifting toward Riker. Monday morning dawned clearer than any day Jalen had seen in weeks. The winter air still nipped at his skin, but the heaviness that once clung to him felt lighter, as if the world had finally loosened its grip. He walked across campus slowly, deliberately, letting the quiet of early morning settle around him. Students trickled in from all directions, hoodies pulled up, earbuds in, coffee cups steaming. For the first time since everything happened, Jalen didn't feel like all eyes were burning into him. A few people glanced his way, offering cautious smiles or nods of support, but no one stared with pity. No one whispered. At the entrance of the lecture hall, Professor Kamal greeted him. "Jalen," he said warmly, "it's good to see you back." "It's good to be back," Jalen replied, and he meant it. He took his seat near the window. The classroom slowly filled. His chest tightened when Malik slid into the desk beside him. Malik smirked and whispered, "Back in the arena, huh?" Jalen laughed softly. "Feels like the first normal thing I've done in a while." Class began, but Jalen found himself lost in thought more than once. Not in fear, something else. Something unfamiliar. Resolve. When class ended, a few students approached him, not to pry, but to share support. "Glad you're okay. You handled everything with so much dignity. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." Jalen thanked them, feeling a warmth he didn't know he needed. Later, he walked across the quad. Posters decorated the campus bulletin board. Forum on racial profiling, student-led discussion. His name wasn't on the poster, but Malik nudged him. "You should speak." "I don't know," Jalen murmured. "I'm not a public speaker." "People want to hear you," Malik insisted. "Not because you went viral. Because you lived through something most people only read about." Jalen hesitated, but part of him knew Malik was right. That afternoon, Jalen sat with his father in the mayor's office. The room overlooked the city, sunlight glinting off tall buildings. Mayor Ward leaned back in his chair, studying his son. "You're healing," he said softly. "I'm trying," Jalen replied. "Some days are harder than others." "That's normal." His father folded his hands. "You know, there are groups asking if you'll work with youth outreach programs. Share your story. Help create change." Jalen looked out the window. Cars crawled along streets he once feared walking at night. "I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about it publicly," he admitted. "You don't have to be ready today," his father reassured him. "But when you are, your voice will matter." Jalen nodded. Something inside him flickered, a spark of purpose, small but growing. Across the city, Officer Riker sat alone in his apartment, the silence nearly suffocating. His badge was gone. His career was hanging by a thread. He turned on the television. News anchors dissected his actions. Analysts explained the systemic failures he represented. Activists demanded accountability. His name had become a warning, a symbol of everything wrong. He gripped the remote tightly. "This isn't my fault," he muttered. But even he could hear the lie. For the first time in years, he was forced to sit with the truth. And the truth was ugly. Back on campus, the student forum was held in the auditorium. The room buzzed with anticipation. Jalen stood behind the curtains, palms damp, heart racing. Malik whispered, "Breathe, man. You've got this." When Jalen stepped onto the stage, the crowd fell silent. Not the silence of pressure, of respect. He approached the microphone slowly. "Hi," he began, voice soft but steady. "I'm Jalen." The room leaned in. "I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be any kind of story. I just wanted to go home safely, like anyone else." A ripple of emotion moved through the audience. "What happened to me wasn't new," Jalen continued. "It wasn't rare. The only difference is that it was recorded, but there are countless stories that never reach anyone's screen." He took a breath. "I'm not here to talk about anger. I'm here to talk about what comes next." Students nodded, some wiping their eyes. "We deserve a world where people don't assume the worst of us," Jalen said. "Where walking home isn't dangerous. Where our humanity isn't questioned before our names are known." He paused. "And I want to help build that world." The room erupted in applause, loud, warm, real. Jalen stepped back, chest rising with a deep breath that felt like release. That evening, he walked alone down Bry Avenue. The same flickering streetlight glowed above him. The memory of that night clung to the air, but this time, the darkness didn't swallow him whole. He stood in the center of the sidewalk, listening to his heartbeat. "I belong here," he whispered. "No fear, no shame, just truth." He took one step forward, then another, leaving the ghost behind and carrying only the strength he'd owned. A new beginning had already started, and he was ready for it.